Hi guys, Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Today I'd like to talk about priorities. Now, I've been following a couple of TV shows and things like that, and y'all know what I'm talking about. But the bottom line is this: I think a lot of people are missing or failing to grasp the concept of priorities. We're geared toward setting up our shelter, setting up our whatever, but we're not really taking stock of our environment before we do it. Now let me explain that a little bit better. Right now it's 98 degrees and 80-something% humidity where I'm at in South Alabama. It's hot. Should I be in a survival situation right now? What I want you to do is think on the rule of threes rather than some preconceived idea of what I'm supposed to do in a survival situation. Because a lot of guys that I've noticed and I've talked to, well, for example, we were doing a class, and the guy that I brought along, the minute we got to the area, he immediately went to building a shelter. Do you need it? Okay, let's look at the rule of threes. Okay? First rule in the rule of threes: 3 seconds without thinking. That means if you have not sat down and thought about your situation in depth, that's your first priority. Sit down and think about it. Okay, what are my conditions? What am I facing? What are my needs? What are my resources? Okay, let's look at the menu. These are my resources that I have available. These are my needs. These are the possibilities. Now, is this the best place to be, or do I need to move and find better resources, a better menu? So, right now, in this environment that I'm in, would I automatically need a shelter? Maybe so, maybe not. So let's go to the second rule of threes, and that is 3 minutes without air. Am I having any trouble breathing? Is it so hot that I'm sitting here just, therefore I'm going to get heat exhaustion? If it is, I need to address that. I need to calm my breathing down. I need to be relaxed. Okay? Don't panic. That's that second one. Rule of three, oxygen, calm down. Third rule, 3 hours of exposure. Too hot, too cold. Is it too cold right now? Definitely not. So I'm not going to succumb to hyperthermia, but it is extremely hot, and I can get heat stroke, heat exhaustion. So I should be addressing those concerns rather than at the heat of the day trying to chop down trees, gather brush, and build a big old shelter that's really meant for the winter. What do I need? Well, in this environment right now I need shade, because I need to put a barrier between me and the sun up there that's cooking me, the heat. I need to find a location where I've got a little bit of a breeze, if possible, and a shade. Pine trees make lousy shade. Let me clarify that. When you look at oak trees and a lot of the big hardwoods, they exude through their leaves water. You've heard this term your whole life. Cool shade, shade tree. That's left over from our ancestors who knew that getting up under a big, wide, broad-leaf tree that exudes moisture is physically cooler than getting behind a big old grove of pine trees. They don't produce a lot of moisture back to the environment. And so they're actually a hot, dry, and those little round needles make crappy, shade. You're getting too much UV radiation through it. A big broad leaf blocks and is therefore better shade. So, ooh, there's a breeze. It's hot out here, guys. So you've got third rule of three, which is we have determined that our 3 hours of exposure is heat related. So I need to be getting out of the sun. I need to be limiting my activity. Now's when I should be slinging up a hammock, getting out of the environment and allowing the temperature to drop. letting the solar radiation to drop. Because if I spend now building my shelter, I'm going to be wasting a lot of my energy. And yes, I'll have a shelter, and I'll be totally exhausted and spent when I'm done. If I had no shelter, I have the ability to make fire. Could I simply sit down at the base of a tree, rake me up a big old pile of something to sit on, build a fire? Could I wait it out to tomorrow that way? Yes, absolutely. I do not need a shelter to survive. A shelter is a tool, it's an enhancement. But the priority here is I am trying to stay cool. The overnight low tonight is going to be in the 70s. I am not going to die of hypothermia tonight. So the only shelter I would need would be to kick me up someplace padded, you know, so my butt don't go to sleep. Something for my back and lean back comfortably like a lazy recliner against a tree, put my feet out, pull my hat down, have me a fire to keep the bugs away, and tomorrow morning I can get up and move on. I don't have to build a shelter in this environment. Were this in the winter, I may have to prioritize a shelter. Okay, my next priority, the priority number 4, water. 3 days without water. That would not hold true right now, would it? I am sweating badly. And you're consuming a lot of water trying to stay hydrated in this environment. So water would become a priority. So shelter is shade. My second one would be water, finding a source of water. Now, if I'm going to boil water, do I really want to drink hot water? No. So I need to be thinking ahead. When my canteen starts getting low, I need to start looking right now for a shady place that's out of the environment that I can get me a water source, get me some water boiling, and while I'm slinging up my hammock or leaning back and enjoying the breeze and letting the heat of the day go by, that's when I want to be cooling my water. Because I do not want to take 100-degree water into my body when I'm trying to cool off. So, prioritize. Assess your environment. Do not go with a preconceived plan. Yes, have those scenarios in your head. What if? What if I was dropped into this environment for whatever reason and I have to address it? What do? I go through my priority list. My priority list is the rule of threes. 3 seconds without thinking. Have I sat and thought about this situation? 3 minutes without oxygen. Am I having problems breathing? Am I sitting here scared to death that I'm about to be lost and everybody's going to make fun of me? I need to calm down. 3 hours of exposure. I need to address that like we just did. Is it hot? Is it cold? And what should be my priorities in that? The next rule of 3. 3 weeks without food. I've got a few pounds I can spare. So I'm not going to starve to death if I don't eat tonight. Now look around and be an opportunist, but it's a lower priority. And learn your wild edibles. They're easier to track. And of course, the last one, 3 months without hope. That means that in the long term, I need to make a commitment at point X that I'm not getting out of here. I need to hunker down and do what I can here. Maximize here. And that's that last rule. We don't want to get to that last rule. We want to find our way back out in a shorter amount of time. But we need to prioritize what our actual needs are. What are my resources? What are my needs? What do I need to do right here, right now? Not some preconceived notion of, okay, this is where we're going to make camp, so I need to immediately start hunting and building a shelter, and the shelter needs to be this big and this da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm running around in 100-degree heat, hacking and chopping with no breeze, and I'm getting heat stroke. I'm getting heat exhaustion. And I'm going to end up with a real nice shelter. I'm going to be laying in it, hassling, and have to deplete my entire water supply. Now I got to go find water. You see what I'm saying? My actions are causing a greater difficulty. My own actions are worsening my conditions. So I need to prioritize. If I get here right now and I was put in this environment right here at this heat and etc. and said, boom, Blackie, you're stuck here 48 hours. Okay? I'm going to get me a nice shady tree over here. I'm going to kick out. I'm going to make me a little place. I'm going to find my water source right over yonder. I'm going to get me some firewood right over there, bring it over here. I'm going to do what I can to lessen insects and etc. and I'm going to make myself comfortable. Is it going to rain? I don't think so. If it is, what do I need? I just need a little rain fly. Do I need something for warmth? No. I just need a little fire and a place to sit. Now, once it gets later in the day and it cools off, then I'll get up and I'll get active and I'll chop and make up an actual shelter or a lean-to, or if I need it. But do not waste your precious resources chasing a resource you don't need yet. I hope this helps, guys. Learn the rule of threes. Remember that first rule, 3 seconds without thinking, and use it as a guide. I need to think about my resources. I need to prioritize what my response is. Don't just go with a preconceived plan. Once you've determined this is it, this is what I need to do, then act. Hope this helps, guys. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.